Hello. Today I want to talk about some definitions that I will keep using during the therapy. Everybody knows the old dilemma that you live with someone you hate. As an example, let us imagine that you hate a person because he is aggressive or because he is a bad person, and you have two situations. This person lives as a neighbor next door, or this person living in the center of the city, so more distance between you and him, or this person lives in another country, the distance is bigger. If I ask you about your feelings, is it more irritated? Is there more irritation if he lives at closer distance from you, or at more distance from you, bigger distance from you? He lives further. Then you will say, of course, whenever he is closer, I will feel more irritated. So now we come back to the OCD. OCD, why OCD sufferer feels that the OCD is so powerful? Its feeling is so real, its thoughts is so real, everything is real. This is because OCD mixes itself with your true self, with your real self identity. The more OCD mix itself with your real self, or your real identity, the more it will become real, and the more you will feel that it is so powerful and real. Through the years, everybody define his real self. Real self is where you keep your real values, where you keep your highest values, where you keep your values. Real self is that place where you look to the whole picture. You don't only look in a specific short period of time. No, you encompass the whole time. It is not. It is where you keep real values. From these values, you differentiate. You make goals. But this is the real self. The more the OCD mixes itself with your real self, the more real it feels. So this is important. It is very important to differentiate between your real self and the OCD self. The more it is mixed, the more you will feel, the stronger you will feel the OCD feelings and thoughts. Now we come to a second term. This is the observer, or the impartial observer. This is the observer that it observes only. It doesn't make comments, it doesn't add any comments or judgments, prejudgments. It is like a camera that is taking pictures to be processed later by your real you, by your real self. The observer is trying to know the reality, the reality without noise, the reality without shouting, the reality without hurry, the reality without compulsion, the reality without stress and pressure. It will looks to the reality of the obsession. What is going on? What are these thoughts? What are you doing? What is your response? What is your reaction to these thoughts? This is the observer. The observer observes the reality, the pure reality. By this, you will know the truth, but also you will create a therapeutic distance. The therapeutic distance I will use a lot in these videos. And because I have noticed that this notion and this notion of therapeutic distance is important in OCD therapy. When you get a trigger, when you get an OCD thought or OCD feeling, then if it grabs your attention, if it grabs your focus, then you will then you will focus more and more on these thoughts. The more you create a distance between you and the OCD thoughts, the more you can have a control, the more you will have uh, your real self back, the more you will have, you will trust yourself, the more trust you will get, the more self-esteem you will get. But let us come back to the observer. So when you observe uh, without judgment, without prejudgment, without adding a comments or trying to change or defy or challenge the reality, control the reality, control what is happening. When you try to really observe, then you will create a real distance. You will create a distance. The bigger this distance is, the more you are less controlled by the OCD thoughts and feelings. So this therapeutic distance is very important. Now I will explain another term, which is also extremely important. I call this the real feelings and the false feelings. OCD is so powerful and so strong because it uses feelings, not only thoughts. Even if it uses thoughts, then ultimately it will transform it, or it will replace it by feelings. OCD, the power of OCD lies in feelings. These feelings keeps nagging, 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 and then you will do the compulsion or the ritual, as I have explained in the OCD cycle. So this is why we should differentiate from the beginning to differentiate between real feelings and false feelings. Real feelings, you should feel them. You should feel these real feelings. It is important for your life. It is important for your safety. It is important for you, for your values, to achieve your goals. False feelings stops you, false feeling stops you from achieving your real value, from achieving your goals, from going uh, towards your values. As an example, if someone dear to you is dead, then you will feel pain, and you will feel a real feeling. A real feeling. This is pain. You will feel sad. You will feel that you are going to cry, to and these are real feelings that you should feel. There is no problem in that. These are also by post-traumatic syndrome, by PTSS, is also therapeutic. You should feel sad. You should feel pain to process the painful feeling. But okay, so now OCD comes and it throws false feelings. These feelings disguise in the form of real feelings. These feelings you should know from the beginning. From the beginning, you should relabel them. We will come later about these steps, how to recognize these feelings, and you should relabel them from the beginning. So it is very important to differentiate between your real feelings and your false feelings. Your real feelings comes from your real self, and your false feelings comes, in fact, from the OCD self, or the OCD self structure. It is a structure that is built during the time. another important point why we should differentiate between real feelings and false feelings is that every habit or ritual or a compulsion in OCD case, when it is created in the mind, in the brain, sorry, then it will not stay like that. It will has its own feelings and thoughts. So whenever a habit is created in the brain, it will try always to maintain, to preserve itself. The habit is doing that through generating the feelings and the thoughts that preserve, that maintain these habits. So uh, uh, the ritual, the compulsion that you have created, this compulsion or ritual has its own thoughts and habits. You have already used a false thoughts and a false habits to create, a false thought and a false emotion, a false feelings to create this habit. So when this habit is created, it will preserve itself by preserving, by maintaining the same thoughts and the same emotion. This is why when you keep doing the ritual, in fact, you keep making the relationship between the specific ritual and this and its own specific emotion and thoughts stronger. So when you do the ritual, so you should not be very you you say to yourself, oh, how is it possible that the same feelings and the same thoughts come with the ritual? When you have make the ritual stronger by doing the ritual day after day, in fact you make also the thoughts and the feelings accompanied by this ritual also strong. So you should not be afraid, or you should not be you ask yourself, oh, why the same feelings coming again and again? Okay, because the ritual is the same again and again. The ritual is the same again and again. So the thoughts and the feelings are also the same. The false feelings and the false thoughts is coming again and again. The same false feelings, the same false thoughts coming again and again. Your brain is accustomed to these habits, and to preserve, to maintain, to keep these habits, he should generate the same feelings and the same thought. What do you think? If you try to change these habits, then you should have different feelings and different thoughts. If you want to preserve, to maintain these habits, then you should generate the same feelings and thoughts. Otherwise, if you generate another feelings, you will not have the same habit. You will have a different habit. This is why the ritual keeps its own feelings and its own thoughts. When you do the ritual, so do not be afraid. Do not say why the same. Oh, why the same feelings? Why the same thoughts again? The same feelings and the same thoughts again because you have the same habit, the same ritual. So ritual is preserved through the same feelings and thoughts, false feelings and false thoughts. There is a connection, a conditioning between this habit and the feelings and the thoughts. The more you do the ritual, the more you do the compulsion, the more this habit, the compulsion will be preserved through its own feelings and thoughts.